Nigeria's recent decision to provide Niger with 300 trucks of fuel, amounting to roughly 13.5 million liters, has sparked debate. This act of generosity comes at a time when Niger is grappling with a severe energy crisis. The gesture has reignited discussions about Nigeria's long-held foreign policy stance, which prioritizes regional solidarity and positions Nigeria as a big brother within Africa. However, critics argue that this approach often comes at the expense of addressing Nigeria's own pressing domestic needs. They question whether such altruism truly yields tangible benefits. The energy crisis in Niger has brought immense hardship to its citizens. Long queues at petrol stations and soaring fuel prices have become commonplace, having a crippling effect on the country's already fragile economy. Nigeria's fuel aid, while undoubtedly providing temporary relief, raises important questions. Is this simply a short-term solution to a complex problem? Could Nigeria have leveraged this assistance for more strategic gains? The timing of Nigeria's aid amidst Niger's political turmoil is significant. It follows a military coup in Niger and the country's subsequent withdrawal from the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. These events have strained relations between Niger and its neighbors, particularly Nigeria. Some argue that Nigeria has missed a crucial opportunity. They suggest that the aid could have been contingent upon Niger addressing its political crisis and taking steps towards restoring democratic governance. This situation highlights a recurring theme in Nigeria's foreign policy. The country often finds itself caught between its desire to be a benevolent force in the region and the need to protect its own interests. The question remains, can Nigeria continue to afford this generosity, especially when it seems to yield little in return? Nigeria's foreign policy has long been characterized by a sense of responsibility for its African neighbors. This big brother role is rooted in a history of anti-colonial struggle and a desire for African unity. Nigeria has consistently played an active role in mediating regional conflicts and providing aid to countries in need. From its substantial contributions to liberation movements in Southern Africa to its peacekeeping efforts in Sierra Leone, Nigeria has often put itself forward as a region. This Afrocentric approach, however, has not been without its critics. They argue that Nigeria's generosity has often been met with indifference or even hostility from some beneficiaries. There is a sense that Nigeria's contributions have not always been reciprocated and that its goodwill has been taken advantage of. Critics point to instances where Nigerian assistance has not translated into any strategic gains or improved relations. Furthermore, critics question the sustainability of Nigeria's big brother policy, particularly given its own domestic challenges. They argue that resources directed towards foreign could be better used addressing issues such as poverty, insecurity, and unemployment within Nigeria itself. Debate surrounding Nigeria's foreign policy reflects a broader tension between idealism and pragmatism. While the desire to support its neighbors is commendable, Nigeria must also be mindful of its own limitations and the need to safeguard its interests. The challenge lies in the balance between these competing priorities. The roots of Niger's energy crisis run deeper than the recent political upheaval. While the July 2023 coup undoubtedly exacerbated the situation, the country's energy sector was already grappling with a multitude of challenges. Niger's over-reliance on imported fuel, coupled with its limited refining capacity, made it vulnerable to external shocks. The junta's decision to sever ties with traditional partners, including France and Nigeria, further compounded the crisis. This move disrupted existing energy supply chains and led to a drastic reduction in fuel imports. The expulsion of French energy firms and confrontations with Chinese oil companies over unpaid debts exacerbated the situation. The junta's actions have isolated Niger in the region and pushed it towards new alliances with countries like Russia and Iran. However, these new partnerships have yet to translate into concrete solutions to Niger's energy woes. The energy crisis has had a devastating impact on Niger's economy and its people. Fuel shortages have crippled transportation networks, disrupted businesses, and led to a sharp rise in the cost of living. The situation has also fueled social unrest, with protests erupting in several parts of the country. Section 4. A missed chance for strategic leverage. Nigeria's decision to provide fuel aid to Niger has been met with mixed reactions. While some applaud the gesture as a humanitarian act, others view it as a missed opportunity for strategic leverage. They argue that Nigeria should have attached conditions to the aid, using it as a bargaining chip to extract concessions from the Nigerian junta. One area where Nigeria could have applied pressure is in the realm of regional security. The junta's unfounded accusations against Nigeria, including allegations of harboring French troops and supporting Islamist groups, have strained relations between the two countries. Nigeria could have demanded a retraction of these accusations and a commitment to dialogue as a precondition for aid. Furthermore, Nigeria could have leveraged its assistance to address the issue of cross-border smuggling. Niger has long been a transit route for smuggled goods, including fuel from Nigeria. This illicit trade undermines Nigeria's economy and poses security risks. Conditioning the aid on Niger's cooperation in combating smuggling would have been a pragmatic move. However, Nigeria opted for an unconditional approach, prioritizing immediate humanitarian concerns over long-term strategic goals. While this decision aligns with Nigeria's traditional foreign policy stance, it also raises questions about the effectiveness of such an approach. Critics argue that unconditional generosity often yields little in return and can even be perceived as weakness. Section 5. Towards a more pragmatic foreign policy. The situation in Niger presents a valuable case study for re-evaluating Nigeria's foreign policy. While the country's commitment to regional solidarity is commendable, it must be tempered with a healthy dose of pragmatism. Nigeria can no longer afford to be the benevolent big brother without expecting concrete benefits in return. A more self-interested approach does not necessarily equate to abandoning its neighbors. Instead, it entails engaging with them on a more strategic basis, prioritizing win-win scenarios. This involves setting clear objectives for its foreign policy initiatives, whether it be promoting regional stability, securing its economic interests, or projecting its influence on the global stage. Nigeria must become more discerning in its allocation of resources. Aid and assistance should be provided strategically, with clear conditions attached, ensuring that it serves both humanitarian and national interests. This may require adopting a tougher stance in negotiations and being willing to walk away from deals that do not serve its interests. The time has come for Nigeria to shed its image as a benevolent but naive giant. By embracing a more pragmatic and assertive foreign policy, Nigeria can ensure that its actions on the international stage translate into tangible benefits for its people and its position in the world.